We are in Moscow here attending a forum of UNESCO. It's a great pleasure to be with you always. And you are welcome to Nai Duniya channel, which is viewed by many friends and members of the public who are interested in issues like education, equality of men and women, justice, prosperity of humankind. Now, we had a marathon discussing education and many other issues related to creating unity and peace in the world in the UNESCO forum. You have been the General Secretary of AI-FACTO, All India Federation of University and College Teachers Organizations of India, for more than a decade. And I think there are 600,000 members of AI-FACTO. So you have been to all the universities in India, you have visited many colleges, you have organized so many annual conferences. Also, you are a member of WISE, World Teachers Organization. You have participated in many UNESCO programs the world over. I want to ask you one basic question about education. Most of the governments in the world, because of people's pressure, are ready to give free education at the school level, especially at the primary level. But when it comes to higher education, they are hesitant. Do you think higher education is also as important as primary education?
Thank you, Anilji. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, because you are a person with great sensitivity to the social issues, to the cause of the students and the community. And you are very correct in saying that it's the unity and progress. Unity leads to progress. The necessity of the time is to work together and with a very clear mission. Mission is to educate our students. And when I say education, you are very correct. When you say education, I mean education from primary to post-graduation, even research. And it's true that primary education, secondary education are free, but this is a kind of, I should say, partial statement, because you know that if you visit any city of India, you will find proliferation of the private schools.
Yes.
They charge very high prices.
That's true.
And there are government schools indeed. But first, in the government schools, you don't find students. Why? Because the schools are not having requisite number of teachers, no infrastructure, nothing like that. In Uttar Pradesh itself alone, there are 3.5 lakh vacancies of the primary education. And also the higher education has become largely self-financed, or it's government financed in a very trivial sense. For example, in some universities, teachers are paid 10,000 per month. In Odisha, I am giving you the specific names.
Which would be how many dollars? About $200 or even less?
Because it also there is no security of services. So this is paid to them per month. They are eligible people. Many of them have got doctorates.
I think nobody can make even ends meet if they have even a small family with one child.
Right. Now, this is one side. Another side, I went to Gulbarga for one of the NEC meetings of AI-FACTO. You know, in Gulbarga, teachers came in large number and they narrated their story. In Gulbarga University, in some departments, there is a single teacher, and in chemistry department, there is no full-time teacher. One part-timer teacher has been made the HOD. Think of the plight of the public-funded education in most of the places. There are colleges, no library, no computer. Even if there are some computers, no mechanism to maintain them. Softwares are all corrupt, and there is no engineer to fix them, and also at the same time, no upgrading, no changes. So libraries books are not there. So when you say public sector fund education, it's a misnomer. You can't judge.
I'll take you back to primary education, because I think that's a very important point you have made. Although there is propaganda that government is ready to give free and compulsory primary education, and you are working in Bengal. After your retirement, you have started working with the underprivileged children in the villages.
Even before retirement. But I tell you that I visited a number of schools when I was very much teaching in a college, in Scottish Church College in Kolkata. And I have seen the schools in a very poor condition. I said the students come regularly. They say, no, don't come. They come when the rice is given. That was the
Midday meal.
That was no pre-midday meal period. Before the midday meal scheme was introduced, the students were given rice, grains, and they used to come on those days. And I found students were carrying their mats, dilapidated mats in their hands to sit like that.
Moreover,
and in 4 classes there were 2 teachers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. One teacher school.
One teacher school.
And
no blackboard. So there was a blackboard, Operation Blackboard.
In 2010, I think.
2010, Operation Blackboard.
In the 21st century.
So, in fact, you know that there is free education. There are primary schools, or there is no school. Whenever there are primary schools, you might have heard the name of Andres Droj.
Yes.
And he has in Chhattisgarh and in other places, he has visited many schools. Jharkhand. Basically, he's Ranchi based. He was Delhi based. He got transferred to or took a job in Ranchi, and he's working among the tribals. And he has found that there are schools, no building, no teacher.
So it's a misnomer. It's actually propaganda.
It's a propaganda. So what happens as a result? There's a great distortion. So when you have a school having no teacher, no blackboard, no books, nothing like that. After that, when you have the private schools around, rickshawalas and others who don't have income, they also send their children to those schools. But the standard they pose is just a kind of false standard. You may call it pseudo standard.
That's right.
Only thing
they are exploiting the students, and the teachers.
And it is also in one village. Now I used to first sit with the guardians and the students, talk to them, having murmura with them, and all the talking like that. Many of them also don't know my position. But after I don't look like one of them.
That's right.
Even then they found that I am very friendly like that. They told me, स्कूल में तो पढ़ाई नहीं होता है in Bengal they say स्कूले पढ़ना है ना, but I have appointed private tutors. भैया private tutor आपने appoint
tuition in the village.
Private tutor in school level. He said the private tutor teaches for 3 hours. I said, what he is teaching? Show me the exercise book. All nonsense things he is teaching. Actually, in economics we call it Veblen effect.
Yes.
That
is one question I wanted to ask you. Since you are a professor of economics, what is the economics of education? Why does it not happen correctly?
See, there is a Veblen effect means you judge quality of a product by its price.
Right.
So he is paying 100 rupees to the private tutor, and the number of hours the students engaged by the private tutor, guardian, he is illiterate. And since I am working with the children, they are first generation learners, it's a pitiable, very sad commentary, I should tell you. And what happens, that there has been a dualistic pattern. Urbans have, Amartya Sen once said that why standard is so low in the village schools, because, or in government schools, even in semi-urban area, urban areas. He said that the guardians of the students in those schools are socially not established. They are poor, they are illiterate, and they can't argue with the teacher.
So actually what we are saying is that there is no true freedom, because even the parents are illiterate, and although they understand,
argue with the teachers.
Yes, and they do understand the importance of education, but they don't understand how it can be done, and they cannot reach the government bosses, and they cannot.
I tell you that when I talk to the guardians, I found that most of them are very sad that they could not get enough education for the poor condition of the families when they were children, when they were students. So they want their sons and daughters to be properly groomed, educated. So that's why they encourage. And many guardians told me, in fact, there is a village which I have been observing for last 20 years. So why, see, you have one cross-section data. Now you go to the different schools, talk to the guardians, talk to the students to get some evidence. And also there is the importance of time series data. Over time what happens. So I have seen a boy of 5 years and then I have seen how the boy is growing, and their parents are talking to me very enthusiastically. I want my child to be educated, to be engineer, to be bank officer, to be gentleman, like that. But the situation is that this boy has no guidance. Sometimes he has got a poor guidance by the so-called village.
So let us come to the, we understand now that inadequate education is offered. I mean, it's, see, we say that in our country, mostly in India, education is bookish. It doesn't, it is not holistic.
No,
so
not even
bookish education is available to them. That's what I'm trying to say. So now we have discussed the problem, we have understood the problem that in rural India, by and large, education is not sufficient, although they say every 5 miles now there is a school and both boys and girls can have access to education. Access is a very big question still, I think. Now my question is then, why that funding that is there for education, for primary education? I think we are taking money from World Bank also to sustain primary education. What is happening? Why is that money not coming to the rural areas? And why is not the necessary infrastructure being created? Why are teachers not sent? What has happened?
I tell you, this is a paradox of Indian education. That, you know, in schools, colleges, wherever you take the data, 90% or 95% budgetary allocation is paid for the payment of the teachers.
Okay.
Though the posts are vacant throughout, only so far as West Bengal is concerned, the position is relatively better in the secondary schools than primary schools. Because in primary schools, the situation is even worse. And colleges are also not good. The posts are vacant. In Bihar, you know, I have seen that there are many schools, colleges where there is no vacant, no appointment. In colleges, you know, last 12 years, there has been no full-time appointment. Teachers are retiring and the posts are not being filled up. And when they allow, you can employ somebody, they are given 3,000, 4,000 as a part-time teacher, guest lecturer.
So where is the money going?
Money is not there. I won't say that money is taken away by some other regions like that. The total budgetary allocation has been, which I have talked today in our session, UNESCO session in Moscow, that the 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 is the total expenditure education.
2.7
of GDP.
Okay.
2.7%.
Just 2.7%.
of GDP.
Around 3%, let's say.
Around 3%. Sometimes it touches 3% also. Now the question is, the necessity is at least 8%. In 1960s.
That's at the primary level.
No, the total expenditure should be 8%, of which 1/4 should go to the higher education. That is the standard.
So, which means about 6% should be for higher
primary. Kothari Commission in 1960s recommended 6% of GDP. You know that education has become much more fund intensive now, because you have the books, new books, libraries, laboratories. The moment you go for science education like that, or even geography, you should need a laboratory kind of thing, equipment you need. Now what happened, that this 6% of GDP is a bare necessity. Nowhere we are close to that. In the meantime, the number of students have increased. It is true that there is so-called access, means school is there.
They say so, but it is not.
It is not.
What is the dropout rate?
It is not inclusive.
No.
It is there. School is there, but not inclusive.
Yes, sir. Even in big cities, there is a huge question of access and retention. even if you
Dropout.
somehow bring the students to the classes, there is a huge dropout rate, even in big cities.
Dropout rate. Now, why dropout? Now, this thing, I am a student of economics, and from my childhood days, I have been, my teachers told me that try to tally your knowledge with the facts. So I have a bent of mind of collecting data. Sometimes very rigorously, sometimes not rigorously, sometimes in a disciplinary manner, sometimes indisciplinary manner. Anyway, I collect data all the time. Now I ask that why you are not sending your child to the school? Who was telling me that I want to make my child graduate to work in a bank like that? Why sir, my child has failed in the class. And if I keep on sending him, I will be spending money. Now he can earn something for him. And what he will do? And I tell you that I have been observing about 30-40 students over the years. What happened? Their fathers, even mothers, are just working in the fields or engaged in.
They would go and join them?
No. So I tell you that the fathers, parents, they bring up their children so that they should be so-called bhadralok, gentlemen.
White collar jobs.
White collar. Now when they grow and they pass class 7, class 8, something like that, they cannot now work with their fathers in the land.
Agriculture is a mainstay of our country, and I think of the whole world, and it is going to be there forever.
Now,
and
my point is different. They could not be farm labor, they could not be bhadralok and bank employee. So now what
we are talking about vocational education. Even if they were to give some vocational education to children in the villages, at least they would do better agriculture or do something with their hands, even if they want to make them bhadralok.
Yes. At least this class 7, 8, 9, 10 education helped that family in the sense that now they can keep a record of expenditures. They can read an instruction in Bengali or in English sometimes, and they can say their fathers are exploited.
But what would be the percentage of students in 7th grade or 6th grade? I think a lot of dropout rate, 40%.
Yeah. I tell you that I have not covered the entire Bengal, but many villages I have covered. I have found that some students somehow pass class 10. But passing class 10 is no guarantee that he is properly educated.
No,
for last 15 years, there has been huge change in the marks, awarding of marks. Students are given marks.
And also there was it was not really compulsory to pass the class 10 till recently.
This is a very major blunder of this pass-fail mechanism was abolished. A student, recently I found a student in class 8 who cannot write his name.
Oh, correct.
He cannot
there is a research by Pratham, one organization.
Amartya Sen.
They have gone to Bihar's villages and to Bengal's villages, and they found that students of class 8 cannot read the books of class 2.
Correct. This is my experience.
Okay, now we have discussed this. Would you like to suggest any remedy for primary education, an improvement in primary education, and then we can go to the higher education?
I tell you, I have been an ardent follower of the suggestions and the observations by Amartya Sen. And George Drage is also a co-author of Amartya Sen. So they wrote together many books. And this George Drage, he is called Jesus carrying a laptop.
Oh,
He's called. You read his book. I'll give you a book. I promise to give you a book of George Drage. Now, he has a laptop. He's going into the villages of Jharkhand. In the night, he stays in any house. Everybody has now come to know him. A Sahib, European. He's a Belgian person with beard. Looks very much like a Jesus. So Punab Bardhan calls him Jesus carrying a laptop. In the villages, he takes down the information and he prepares report. The academic audit, you may call it in modern jargon, that how many students, what class they are studying, what is their condition, like that. Now, Amartya Sen, I think that Amartya Sen has understood the importance. he said that primary education can be improved only when the guardians understand what is happening, what is not happening.
They become conscious and aware.
And guardians are not conscious because that we have got very strong casteism in our society. In Bengal, casteism is a little less.
I think all over the country.
15 years back, I have heard that the teacher said that you have come to class, go. You are a Kaura. Kaura means is a
right.
Kai Putro.
You will not be
caste.
surprised to know that my research in Chandigarh schools, there are two types of schools. One are schools in the city, which are for elite. And then there are schools in the periphery. They are known as periphery schools. And the teachers, because these students come from poor socioeconomic background, they have a prejudice against them. They think that they cannot learn anything because their parents are poor or they don't illiterate. And this is such, it's
bluntly told the students, go to the field, work with your father. You have come. Kai Putro, Kaura
sad
beta.
situation.
Sad.
Okay.
This is casteism there.
So what is the
but
solution?
one more reason I tell you.
One is awareness of the parents.
Parents are not in a position to counter the teachers. What is the fault of my child? And in Bengal, there is a misadventure when English was abolished. Not that a student learns much English in the school level, but at least he has some familiarity.
That's
number
right.
one. And everybody knows that in India now, knowledge of English is essential. We could not develop any national language. Hindi could not be promoted for various reasons because India is a...
Although it's the official language of Indian state now.
But it could not be promoted.
But practically, yes. In
South India, you cannot have Hindi.
Yes. In most states, the language, of course, especially between center and state, is English at the moment.
So they have not learned English and there is no other language they can use nationally.
And internationally.
Internationally, chhod dijiye. I talk about the village level students, daily worker.
But then they have to be connected to the global village if they want to really have their place.
But that is beyond certain level.
Yes.
But only I am talking about the students only who can earn their own livelihood.
See, the point is, even if English were to be taught from class 3 or class 5, I think I agree with you. It's a misadventure to teach English. I mean, you said something little different, but I am saying is that to me, it is a misadventure to teach English from class 1 because we don't have trained teachers and we don't have human resources. You're talking about...
I haven't said that.
Okay, fine.
What
so
I've said,
we agree on that.
Let me explain. When you said there will be no English up to class 8, so this sent a wrong message.
Okay.
I have said that a student in class 2, 3, 4 teaching English is useless.
Yes, exactly.
They don't understand. But when you said that English is from class 8, so many of the guardians took away their children from the schools. They are not that they are learning. In English medium schools also I have interviewed.
Okay.
Now in the schools in Bengal they talk in Hindi, not in English. Not in Bengali.
Okay, let's go on to the basic question. We were talking about the solutions
one line,
for primary education.
They took away the students. I have seen the students with very, I should say, unclean dresses, howling chappals, and a dirty ties hanging.
This reminds me that, in the Baha'i writings, this channel is inspired by Baha'i ideas. The main focus of education is given to be character building and rectitude of conduct. I think these are overriding goals in all educational programs. And when you are talking about not even having material education, the education can be of many kinds. One is material, one is human education, which has to do with human institutions, and another one is divine, which is spiritual, inculcating spirituality in children. But all three are important to develop a holistic personality, and that would be perhaps the character. We can have many definitions and understanding of what is character, but character building, especially in the primary schools, should be the main goal, and rectitude of conduct, the values that children should learn so that they grow to be good human beings. We have professionals in the world, but they are not good human beings. This dichotomy cannot end till, at the primary level and in homes, children are given education that would build their character.
So character building values, inculcating values, that apart, education has not been able to achieve the basic goals. And this is very important, that a student should have proper values, should be a good human being. Now see, this odd situation, guardians are semi-literate or illiterate. They can't guide their children. Schools are not taking proper care. That is another story. That the standard of teaching is not good enough. That is another story. And then a private tutor who is not doing any good, rather
himself not qualified in a way.
Qualified. As a result, what happened? There is a totally distorted education available now. And you know that.
So will I be right to say that in this situation, the child of a poor man or from children from underprivileged section would have very little chances of growing to be a doctor or an engineer or a technocrat or a bureaucrat or even a football player or another a good carpenter, plumber, without vocational education, without formal education which is needed to compete in the world.
Yeah, you have referred to a very important issue, that these handicrafts, is a good plumber, good the welder, these are no mean jobs, these are good jobs, and they get good salaries. But you know, the temperament has been vitiated. Because Bhadralok means office job, white collar jobs.
Okay, so some of these issues we have discussed at the primary level. So let us go on to the higher education. Maybe we will split this into two. Khatri ji, कितने मिनट का हो गया था?
26.
Okay, so we will cut this video later on and.
आप इसको पीछे काट दीजिए ना.
मैं कर दूंगा, मैं अपना अभी चलेगा, बाद में काटूंगा मैं. नहीं अभी चलने दो, अभी चल रहा है ना, आवाज़ वगैरह आ रही है ना. 26 minutes. Okay.
अच्छा. और
okay, now I will keep the watch here so that I will then because you see long, I will cut it into two.
2 or 3, whatever you like.
Okay.
And also you may take a fresh interview. If you say that Dada, this should be one.
No, this is fine, I think. Okay.
Very fine.
Now, do you want to continue on primary or we go on to the higher education now?
No, primary. See, primary. I tell you.
Okay, so let us continue.
Primary. This is just not for interview alone. This is I would like to tell you, since I am studying primary, secondary, college all together in West Bengal and outside. In primary section, you pointed out that whether they cannot be a doctor, can be engineer, can be a teacher. Yes, they can be teacher. They can do. But this vicious circle is working. I mean, you have reserved the post according to caste. So, Novoshudra is a Bengali caste which is scheduled caste.
So, let us talk about it.
Yeah, this is very important.
Okay. So, let us now, we will continue for the interview.
Continue.
Okay.
Now,
we will.
Now, let me complete this issue. Very
okay.
2 minutes.
Okay. So, we are talking about whether the children from the underprivileged classes or from rural India attain a higher status through education,
like become
professionals,
a teacher, a doctor, engineer, like that.
Okay.
Now I have studied, I have observed, I have taken data. Who become doctors? Now, out of every 50 from the real underprivileged people, only one of them could be into this category. Though, and all of them are in the urban sector, and the scheduled caste people get jobs.
So there is a problem of caste again in this.
No caste. See, this is a vicious circle. Suppose 80% of our population are scheduled castes.
Okay.
Now, 4% of scheduled caste garner all jobs. Because their parents have income,
okay.
Because
reservation is there.
Reservation is there, and they are getting jobs also. Who are getting? Those who already have money.
Oh.
Those parents are already in the good professions,
and they belong to scheduled caste. They are economically high, and at the same time
caste
they belong.
There is scheduled caste. They are getting that. Not a single boy from a village of scheduled caste becomes a doctor, engineer. Very rare. If some exceptionally meritorious student. That doesn't happen normally, may happen once in a blue moon. So like that, other than that, the 2% of scheduled caste take away the entire quota.
That's another complication. Fine.
This is a very serious complication. So that's why there is a question of creamy layer. Those who are capable of supporting them should not be given reservation. Sometimes some people say. But there are, of course, argument against this also. Against creamy layer, there are also arguments. I don't say that this is a flawless argument. But in my calculation, in my collection of data, the most of the opportunities are being taken away by a handful of people.
Okay, so let us conclude it by saying, as far as primary education is concerned, that it is flawed, it is insufficient, and immediate attention needs to be given to make it holistic and to give opportunities to children to have their rightful place in the world of tomorrow.
In this context, the civil society has a great duty.
That's
all the teachers and others, those who are concerned about this kind of dichotomy in the society, should somehow get involved in this thing. NGO is a word which means those who are professionals, collecting money, spending money or not spending money, whatever like that. But I mean civil society, suppose teachers form a club or a society, not taking money. Every 15 days they visit a village.
Correct.
They talk to the guardians.
Wonderful.
When I was in college, in that village, where I ran a school during the holidays, I ran a school. I along with my wife, I give them food, and my brothers give them food, give them other things. Just 15 days back, we had such a program in that particular place. 85 students came, we give them food, they had fun time and all that. Now, you must understand, those who are established in life has a duty to and in fact, we are the product of public fund education. We have not spent much in education. We should help these people.
Yes. I think we should. There is an age to give back. If you have been a teacher for 30 years, if you have retired, even before that.
So I used to take my students and my colleagues to villages.
So what we are talking about is that teachers should become agents of change.
Absolutely. This is the word. Agents of change, and they have got a social commitment. They should have a social commitment. Responsibility. If you do that, don't wait for government to do everything.
Correct.
Because government doesn't have that much of fund, and also they lack visionary people.
True.
So Amartya Sen is saying all the time, when guardians cannot argue with the teachers, then civil society can sit with them. I asked the lady teachers of our college that you go and talk to the mothers, parents.
That's a very important thing.
Sit with them for 2-3 hours.
I will tell you a beautiful story. There is a lady, she is known as Tahire. She was the first woman, she was a Babi, a follower of the Bab, who was the forerunner of Baha'u'llah. She was a poetess of the highest order. And she was so much aware and so much enlightened and active in as far as social responsibilities are concerned, that she started going to the villages. It is 150 years ago. She was the woman who took away her veil and she gave her life for the emancipation of women. Lord Curzon and Sarojini Naidu, others are very fond of her life story. She said while she was being killed, you can kill me as soon as you like.
She was killed?
Yes. And
by whom?
By the powers that be, especially the mullahs and in collusion with the king. In Iran. Around 1850s, she was killed in Iran. And many American journalists, others have gone and investigating. And the most famous Punjabi writer Amrita Pritam says that she was a pillar in the evolution of humanity as far as the ascent of women is concerned.
Very true.
She said to the people who killed her, she said, you can kill me as soon as you like, but you cannot stop the emancipation of women. And her main sin that they said was that she would go to the villages, she would talk to the mothers, and she would tell them, educate your girls, educate your daughters. And in those days in Iran, they were behind veil, and she took away her veil. That was one other allegation on her, that how can you are a woman, you cannot take away the veil, 150 years ago. So that is very dear to me, because you see, she gave her life not only for emancipation of women, but for education of children. In those days, she would go to villages, and she was a very famous poetess, a woman of very high rank who would have debates. So such examples are there, and I think that you're very right that teachers should become an agent of change. Civil society should go talk to the parents, ensure that children have right to holistic education.
I don't know whether people will like it or not. I understand the teachers of all levels. Many of them are not properly oriented. They may be teaching like that, but it's not merely. Teaching is not only teaching a subject. This is building up character in a student. This is inculcating values in a student like that. So these values to be nurtured among the students, this is the duty of a teacher.
Okay, Dada. So we will stop it here, this part for primary education, and we can
second part is also applicable to secondary education.
Okay, so let us go on with the secondary, and now mainly higher education also, because that is one big concern.
Whatever I said also applicable to secondary, because the teachers' duty, that I visited hundreds of colleges.
Yes.
I had a set of questions. This question was not revealed in the beginning. I said in Assam college, Bihar college, I said, okay, while talking, taking time, I would like to visit your library. आपको लाइब्रेरी हम देखेंगे भाई साहब, कॉलेज में आसाम में गए, बिहार में गए, तमिलनाडु में गए, I want to visit your library. Many principals and teachers are very hesitant to take me to the library, but some of them are enthusiastic. They took me to the libraries of schools and colleges. I found in 10% cases, maybe 1 out of 10, there is a proper library. Other places there is a structure called library. Some books are stacked up. No seat. Students cannot read there like that. Then I said, just let me know that what is the rate of issue of books. Now, even where there are facilities to read and borrow books, they said no, students don't borrow books these days. When I was a teacher, I found in 2000 also, Scottish Church Library is one of the biggest library sitting arrangement in Kolkata. The library was full. During the off period, students are sitting and studying like that. It was difficult to get a seat there. The other day I went, I found that it is totally, no student is there. No lights on. And I said, what happened? Well, students don't come to the libraries. And this is the picture almost everywhere. I asked the same question to Punjab Chandigarh teachers. What about the attendance of students? Now, I was told by even Punjab Chandigarh students, which is by standard is one of the advanced state, otherwise, at least Chandigarh, they say that after 1:30 or 2, there is no student in the class. They leave. Before that, now, how they appear in the exam? Based on notes.
And rote learning. Because the examination is very faulty. Examination system needs an urgent reform. Because if you ask in graduation or in masters, especially in humanities, to answer just 5 questions, and if you prepare some 20 questions, you can easily answer those 5 questions. And those who have good memory, they can even bring a first class.
I tell you that one of my experiences, I found in one exam, I found a internal exam. A student wrote an answer which is superb, beautiful, but the question should be different.
Yes.
So the particular question I asked was not answered. Then answer was given that is very good for a different question.
That's right.
That means I said, why you have written this, bhai? This is not the answer to what I have said. I said, from which book you have written this?
So that's what we were saying.
So the student told, no sir, no book. My private tutor has given these
Notes.
notes. I've written this.
That's right. So it begins in words and ends in words, and there is no applicability. They're not taught how to apply what they know.
I have a very poor, understanding that throughout our country, over the last 15 years, there has been in most of the, not all the colleges, I won't say all St. Xavier's College, Presidency College, Jadavpur University, Brabant, and partially Scotland. It's okay. But the students' approach all marks oriented.
Exactly.
And also at the same time, I have seen students are very much busy in mobile phones.
They are wasting a lot. In fact, I was going to say, when you were talking about libraries being empty, that one reason could be that everything is there on the mobile phone or on the computer. Through internet, they can gain the same knowledge as they would gain from a library.
Yeah, that is one. But
that is one reason.
No, that is one reason.
But the reading habit not being there, it is a great loss to humanity. Professor Barman, you have very beautifully woven the primary education into the secondary education, and we have some questions for higher education.
Right.
I think the main demand of the teachers in India in higher education is sufficient funding. And as you yourself mentioned, that there are so many vacancies which are vacant, and then students don't have access to quality education because of that. Even whatever kind of will it be called education at all when there is no funding and there are no qualified teachers teaching them? A teacher employed with just 10,000 rupees a month, what kind of a teacher would he be? He may be forced to do this if he has nothing more to do or nothing else to do. So let us tackle this fundamental question. The government's stand seems to be that higher education should be self-sufficient, that they don't have enough funds even for primary education, what to talk about higher education. And they are saying that right to education is fulfilled when they have provided free and compulsory education at the primary level. And on the other hand, we have also understood that if the world has to progress, we need more scientists, we need more doctors, we need more teachers, we need more experts in technology, and even if it is building a house, if it is architecture, so many things. I mean, from lowest, so-called lowest jobs, I would not call them lowest jobs, vocational jobs, to the highest white-collar jobs. We need very good, strong higher education for the world and humanity to progress. What are your views on this? Should higher education be sponsored by big industries? Should it be provided free of charge by the government? Is it feasible? What is your understanding of this matter?
My take is that higher education is very important for the progress of a country. You can't have development with the higher education because the manpower, the quality of manpower depends on higher education. They become engineers, they become doctors, they become administrators, bank officers, bank manager, like that. Whatever you say, they come from higher education.